Amazing news from the world of science this week. Political science, that is. A new law of thermodynamics has been discovered. And it goes something like this. You see, whenever bad news about the Bidens and their increasingly smelly business activities are revealed, a new set of indictments against Donald Trump comes down. This week, it was Georgia's turn. And let me say this from the outset. I don't care if you're super MAGA and sleep under a Donald Trump bedspread, or are suffering from a case of Trump derangement syndrome serious enough to get you a guest hosting spot on CNN. This whole Get Trump in the Courts campaign stinks. And as I have suggested before, it is the stuff of banana republics. Because, let's be really honest, this is not about prosecuting Donald Trump for trying to swing the 2020 election. This is about Team Democrat doing everything it can to eliminate the opposition leader who they are scared of, either by jailing him or making things so messy for him that he can't compete. Oh, one other thing. They are also hoping to provoke a response, a reaction, from even just one or two of his most extreme supporters. So they'll have another January 6th on their hands, and the cycle can start all over again. Now, let's drill down into the indictments which just came down in Fulton County, Georgia, and which were, by the way, mysteriously posted online before the grand jury had finished its work. Funny that. Speaking of grand juries, a little reminder of this interview from a few months ago with the forewoman of that grand jury.
Personally want to hear from the former president.
I wanted to hear from the former president, but honestly, I kind of wanted to subpoena the former president because I got to swear everybody in. And so I thought it'd be really cool to get 60 seconds with President Trump of me looking at him and being like, do you solemnly swear? And me getting to swear him in. I kind of just thought that would be an awesome moment.
Look, I know they say that you can get a grand jury to indict a ham sandwich, but I reckon that one there, well, she's a few pickle slices short of a Sanger. Anyway, let's review some of these charges, shall we? Here's just a few of the 41 counts that were handed down. According to the indictment, the Trump Organization was a criminal enterprise worthy of being hit with the same racketeering statutes generally used to go after mobsters. From the first count, it is alleged that, quote, members of the enterprise corruptly solicited Georgia legislators instead to unlawfully appoint their own presidential electors for the purpose of casting electoral votes for Donald Trump. Remember that. From later on in the indictment, Donald Trump knowingly, willingly, and unlawfully made the following false statement and representation to Georgia State Secretary Brad Raffensperger. As stated to you previously, the number of false and/or irregular votes is far greater than needed to change the Georgia election result. Okay, and here's my favorite. They even tried to indict Donald Trump for some of his tweets, including hearings from Atlanta on the Georgia election overturn now being broadcast live via RSB Network. And one where he wrote, "We now have far more votes than needed to flip Georgia in the presidential race. Massive voter fraud took place. Thank you to the Georgia legislature for today's revealing meeting. The vice president has the power to reject fraudulently chosen electors," Trump claimed in a January 5th tweet. Now, this is why I say it doesn't matter whether you're a Trump guy or gal or not. Because this is what it's about. In their effort to swing the 2024 election, next year's election, call it pre-interference, if you will, a Georgia prosecutor has gone so far as to make Donald Trump's tweets criminal. And that's what this is about. Was Trump right about Georgia being stolen? I don't know. He has promised a big evidence dump next week, so we'll see what's in that. But is it wrong to question elections? Hell no. That is Donald Trump's and every other American's democratic right. In a democracy, you have a right to say your mind. Say you think the system is corrupt. And yes, you also have the right to be wrong. Whipping up some corruption charges and throwing your opponent in jail is what they do in countries like Pakistan, not America. And don't give me the, oh, he questioned the integrity of the election nonsense. In 2000, Al Gore and his team spent weeks trying to find missing ballots to get him over the line. They even went to the Supreme Court with this one. After the 2016 election, which Donald Trump did win, Democrats, like Congressman Jamie Raskin, questioned the slate of electors. The slate of electors, what Trump was talking about before, on the floor of the House of Representatives.
What purpose is member right?
I have an objection because 10 of the 29 electoral votes cast by Florida were cast by electors not lawfully certified because they violated Florida's prohibition against dual office holding.
Did you hear that? He questioned the electors. He said there were bad electors, illegal electors, something like that. But was he indicted? No. Because the fact is, in a free country, people can question elections and whip up their supporters all the time. That's why we in the West, in the U.S. and Australia, we are not North Korea, where saying the wrong thing gets you 20 years in a camp eating rat droppings. Questioning elections, even whipping up your crowds, sometimes with bad results, is a feature of democratic society, not a bug, in America and Australia. Now, why do I come back to Australia? Well, think about this. Remember Malcolm Turnbull? I note that the former Prime Minister has fashioned himself something of an expert on how Trump is a threat to the institutional fabric of American democracy.
I mean, Donald Trump, who is their hero, is not a conservative. Donald Trump is seeking to tear at every single institution in the United States. That is not what conservatism is.
Now, that was Turnbull in 2019. But I wonder, though, if Malcolm Turnbull was being a bit of a democracy denier himself in 2018. Because, as Paul Kelly revealed in The Australian, back then, Turnbull tried to save his failing leadership with a plan to call the Governor General and suggest that rival candidate Peter Dutton could not be sworn in as Prime Minister. Now, he was smacked down correctly by his Attorney General Christian Porter. But was Malcolm Turnbull ripping down the institution of the Liberal Party room? Nonsense. He was a guy on his way out who was trying to stay in power. Pretty? No. But criminal? Forget about it. Then there was this. In 1996, after then Labour opposition leader Kim Beazley made a full-throated attack on the right, telling unions that the government of John Howard hated families, well, on the eve of Budget Day, all hell broke loose.
The mosh pit protest became an organised assault. The just renovated Parliament House shop proved the line of least resistance, and demonstrators burst into the building's marble hall. Despite the human wall, the main doors proved porous too.
Back off! Ugly? Well, yes, really ugly. And you might say that that was the peaceful, tolerant left in action. But was that an insurrection? Well, no. Was there an effort to prosecute Kim Beazley after that? Of course not. Kim Beazley became one of Labour's most respected former leaders and sharpest thinkers on defense. Again, you may love Trump, you may hate Trump. You may think he did a lot of good stuff and now wish he'd just go away. I don't care. What I do care about is that in their efforts to stop Donald Trump from ever being president again, Trump's enemies are becoming exactly what they accuse him of. And they are doing a scarily good job of it.